Good evening, everyone. The Community Remembers Coalition Chatham would like to welcome you to a walk down memory lane in a historic time. Chatham classmates and teammates were stronger together. I am Mary Nettles, president of the Community Remembers Coalition Chatham. The program committee of the Community Remembers Coalition Chatham is glad you chose to join us. This evening program is honoring a remarkable Northwood High School Charger football team. The team won the 1971 Central Tar Heel Conference Football Championship. The interracial football champion season included teammates Robert Alston, Johnny Richardson, Leon Williams, and Rouse Wilson. We believe you will find this evening conversation educational and enjoyable. At this time, we would like to reflect on a few memories of the 1971-72 school year and football season. Let's rewind the clock to the 1971-72 school year and football season at Northwood High School. Please sit back, get comfortable, and don't forget to mute your device. By turning off your audio and video camera, it will reserve bandwidth. Thanks again for being here.
Heather, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy got inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2023. Um, this team meant the world to him, and I'm sure was his favorite memory as coach of any sport he coached. Um, he passed away in 2010, but his memory still remains, and all his players meant the world to him. And I'm getting tongue tied here, y'all. A little nervous.
Okay.
I thought
All
this
right.
at the very end.
No. At this time, Ms. Joyce and I will reflect on a few memories of the 1971-72 football season.
I remember Daddy coaching, and I was the water girl for this team. I would go every day. I was 12 years old. Would go every day to practice and all the games. The boys were like family to us, all of them. Our house was always full of them. And one thing I really remembered tonight, when we would have an away game, I would have to step on Daddy's ingrown toenail for good luck. And I remember going over every day after school and filling the water bottles up and being out at practice. And I remember all the guys. It was the best year of my life then at that age, because we won all those games and everybody was happy. The community was happy. And I don't know, I always remember the bonds that these guys had with each other and with our families.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I travel with the marching band. During the halftime show, I was one of the letter girls. I wore the letter G and spelling out the name Charger. So at this time, Shelley and I would like to introduce 4 teammates from the remarkable 1971 championship team. Our first guest is Robert Henry Austin.
Hello.
Robert Henry Austin was born in Durham, North Carolina, but grew up in Pittsburgh, attended Horton High School from the 1st grade through the 10th grade. His junior and senior year were at the newly created and fully integrated Northwood High School, where he was a member of the 1971-72 Northwood Championship football team and a member of the baseball team. Upon graduation, Robert attended the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where he majored in business and administration with a minor in logistics. Robert relocated to Atlanta, Georgia, where he started a career in computer information system as a network architect. In 2020, he retired after 35 years with Honeywell as an industrial cybersecurity architect consultant. His wife of 47 years is the former Barbara Bullitt of High Point, North Carolina, and they live in Stone Mountain, Georgia, and are the proud parents of one son, Alan, and his wife, Erica, and grandparents of 2 lovely granddaughters, Destiny and Dylan. Shelley?
Okay, our next person is Johnny Franklin Richardson. Johnny was the first starting quarterback for Northwood High School. During his senior year, the team won its first conference championship. After graduation in 72, Johnny was awarded a full scholarship to play at North Carolina State University. While attending North Carolina State University, the football team won the 1973 Atlantic Coast Conference title and participated in a football bowl game each of the 4 years he was on the team. He was a member of the ACC Conference Honor Roll and graduated in 1976 with a BA degree in education. Johnny retired from IBM in 2007 after 30 years of service. He's married to his high school sweetheart, Regina. They have one daughter and 4 grandchildren.
Okay. Leon Cecil Wilson. After high school, Leon continued his academics and football career at Elon College, where he majored in business administration and played as a running back on the football team from 1972 to 1975. After graduating from Elon, Leon began working at L.C. Williams Oil Company and became president in 1979. He married his lovely wife, Julie, and sold the company in 2002. Since selling the company business, Leon has been assisting Julie on the business side of her Flora design company, Blossom Flora Artistry. In Leon's spare time, he enjoyed playing the drums, listening to beach music, and spending time with their children, Frisco, Jenny, and Matthews, and grandchildren, Wyatt, Mason, and Trista. And let's not forget his other children, Stella Rose and Baxter, his golden retrievers.
Next, we have Rouse Wilson. Rouse moved to Pittsburgh with his family in 1962 and graduated with the Northwood High School class of 1972. He served one tour of duty with the U.S. Army in Germany before returning to UNC Chapel Hill to earn a bachelor's degree in botany. His DDS degree was completed in 1985 at the UNC School of Dentistry. Rouse worked in private practice until his retirement in 2018. He now spends much of his time woodworking, bird watching, hiking, traveling, and helping build houses with Habitat of Chatham County. Rouse has been married to his wife, Sue, for 41 years. They have 3 children along with 4 wonderful grandchildren.
Thank you. We have a few questions for the football players. First question. When Horton High School and Pittsburgh High School integrated, what was your feeling the night before you started school, the first day?
I guess I get to go first, huh? Okay. I can answer that, somewhat answer that, and then others may have a different answer, is that, the night before was a little bit different from at least most of the football players, because we had already been together. We were practicing together. We'd been practicing from the beginning, probably around the beginning of August, and we've been practicing. So we knew, had chance to meet and intermingle and work out a lot of differences and get to know each other. So going to school that first day, it wasn't quite as traumatic maybe for us. For me personally, my biggest fear was getting lost in the building, because I'd never been there before. I didn't know where I was going, didn't know where the classrooms were. And, so, and everybody remembers how the old building was, it's kind of 2 levels. So you didn't know if you're supposed to be upstairs or downstairs, and were you over in the new part of the building, the old building. So that was more my concern, I think, as far as first day of school, because meeting the people and playing together and being together, we had already done that. So we had accomplished some things that I'd say all the other students hadn't had the opportunity to face yet. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Johnny, Rouse, Leon, what do you guys think?
Well, this is what sticks in my mind, is that I don't know whether it was divine intervention or what, but for some reason, the football players, we gathered together because, the football field was right beside the gymnasium. And I can remember when we walked in, when the football team walked in, all the black students was on one side of the bleachers and all the white students was on the other side. And I can remember me and James Arthurs walked in together and we sort of looked at each other and we sort of chuckled. And they had, they had seats on the gymnasium floor, and the football team came in and we sat down, and just seemed like everybody on both sides just came together. To me, that was a defining moment. And I just think that football team had a big deal to do with how smooth the transition was for the two schools coming together back then.
Rouse, you muted. Unmute yourself, Rouse.
So is Leon.
Yeah, you
Leon
got.
talking.
Yeah, I remember, of course, there's always excitement about coming to school for the next year. And, with the old Pittsburgh High School, we'd have one or two new people every year. But that year, half the school was new. And so that was a different feeling, even though the football players knew each other. But it was pretty exciting. And I was amazed at how many students there were from Horton, because I hadn't seen most of the other Horton students around town that much. So it was a big surprise to me. But I will say that I felt like the football team had a tremendous effect on the school, because we had some leaders. It seemed like the leaders of the student body from Horton, and likewise from Pittsburgh, the leaders were also the football players. And because the football players got along so well together, I think it allowed the rest of the student bodies to get along well together. So, I mean, I look at, you mentioned James Arthurs, but Joe Alston, I thought, was a big a leader. He was a funny guy and really a likable guy. And I think, leaders like that just open the doors to us getting together as a unit, as a school.
Leon?
Okay, yes. I felt like I had a little bit of maybe advantage because my father being in the home heating business so long, that I had, got to see a lot of people, either them getting oil from us or us fixing their, heating system. So I already knew a lot of the players' families, or either knew the players. And in fact, you mentioned Joe Alston. We had this service station uptown. It was full service, and Joe Alston worked up there, and a couple of other guys. So I didn't think anything about it, because, I knew them already before football started. And like y'all said, once we started practicing before school even started, we'd already, had a bond going on. And it just, like y'all said, it just fell right into the student body and everything. And that's, what made everything just click. And of course, my main concern was I was just trying to make the team and be part of the team and be part of the history. So it was just a good thing all around for everybody, the student body and the players. But, the players just bonded quickly, and everybody wanted to play and win, and that's what we did.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that, Leon. That was one of the big things. Is I think we had that desire to win, and that's the one thing that kind of brought us all together and kept us. We put all the other stuff aside, and we had one thing in front of us, and that task was to be a winning team. Mm-hmm. And I know and me and Johnny, we know we came over, our sophomore year, we didn't have a football team. Horton didn't have a football team because we didn't have couldn't afford the equipment, or if the decision was made not to, go through that process when they knew that the schools were going to be merging. So it didn't make sense to buy separate uniforms and stuff like that when they were going to all have to be discarded and redone anyway. So anyway, our sophomore year, we didn't have a football team. Our freshman year, we were pretty much, that was a tough place to play football your freshman year. I can tell you that. From my standpoint, it was very, very You got to be the practicing dummy because you were the freshman. So they use you to beat up on and practice and okay, let's try this play and see if we can take him out or that kind of thing. And we learned a lot from it, but we were glad
There wasn't any fellowship.
No, it wasn't fellowship. It
Wasn't
like
any fellowship on Joy Divine, man. It was actually brutal, to be honest with you.
They call that
So we were actually looking forward to merging with Pittsburgh. And I can say this, that prior to the inaugural season, I had the opportunity to spend the summer with Coach Shaner and Coach Campbell. And they were aware of the challenges that they had before them to bring us together and make us a unit. Because you guys know that their main objective was first that we had to respect each other as individuals in order for us to be successful. And once we did that, about halfway through that first football season, we started to trust each other and we bonded, and that's why we were so successful. We had each other's back.
Yep. Let's do another question.
Okay, Shelley, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
What is your favorite memory of that team?
Going Johnny, okay.
My favorite memory was how competitive we were, and we wanted to win, and there were two games my senior. There was two games that were on our schedule that I knew that was going to be tough. The first one was down at when we had to travel to Rohannon, and trust me, I was glad to get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and the second one was, of course, JM, because all summer those guys from South City were raising the chatter about how they're just going to come down to Pittsburgh and repeat what they did the previous year, but we made sure that didn't happen. So those are my two memories. Because I remember that Rohannon game. It was a tough game, and I remember Leon sneaking out of the backfield wide open down the middle of the field and hit him for a 33-yard touchdown pass, and that was the winning touchdown. And like I said, I was glad to get away from there. Rohannon was tough, and so was JM. But those are my best memories. Those two games.
Robert?
Yeah, I have a lot of, I guess, memories on that. And one of the things that I probably my best memory is I know how we came together as a team. We played together as a team, but even as a team, I remember more specifically the different units of the team, as far as the offense, the defense, the special teams, and even on the offense, it went from right side of the line to left side of the line. We grouped. We kind of really melded together on each side of that, and then came together as a whole team. Because I can remember my tackle playing with me, and our job was to make that hole or block and that kind of thing. And we always came up with different strategies on how we would do that. And just knowing how we worked together as different units and came together as a team, and always, we kind of challenged each other. We didn't just sit there and say, hey, we this, we that, but we were trying to say, okay, this is what we got to do if we want to win. So, what do we need to do here? We got this side over here. We know they're hard to handle. What are you guys doing on that side? Can we run better on that side? And they will make adjustments. And, I've gone back to the huddle a couple of times and tell Johnny, tell Maurice, hey, hit this hole. We got this guy. It's going to come through here. So that kind of thing, knowing and playing together and bonding like that was a special memory to me. That be able to work together, play together, and accomplish something. And yes, I do remember Rohannon. Yeah, we were very lucky to get out of there. because I remember I was the guy that had to drive the bus out, fully equipped, helmet and
Yes.
everything.
We were high. I got on the bus and they said, get down behind that guard at the first seat. And I got down behind that. It was rough. It was scary.
Oh, it was. They were rocking the bus, throwing rocks
Yeah.
at the bus. They were
Yeah.
pushing on the bus. They were a little bit upset because we beat them. So,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
you know, and then that Jordan Matthews game, that was a special too. You know that,
Yeah.
and we're not going to name names, guys, but we know, and we kind of talked about it before. You know, we actually got locked in the library that day of the game, JM game. They would not let us go out because JM was trying to sabotage the team by taking some guys out and getting them a little bit inebriated, so they'd have an advantage. But they actually kept us in the library that afternoon, and we went as a team. We ate dinner as a team. We came back and we beat them as a team.
Yep. Yep. I just want to ask Leon. Oh, he's muted. Unmute, Leon. I'll ask Rouse in the meantime. What do you remember most about beating JM?
Well, first of all, I remember that the crowd was so energizing to us.
Mhm.
There were just so many people around that field, and there was certainly an energy in the air that night. And
Yeah.
and I think that I felt like as a team, we knew we were going to beat those guys. I think
Yeah.
we had the confidence going in that we could do it, and because we've been playing well as a team up to that point in the season, and I remember it seems like we had more film of JM, and we knew their plays a lot better.
Yeah.
So I played on defense, and I felt like that we knew where they were going to be running their plays before they even started to play, and that just gave us confidence that we knew what we were doing, and and it was just exciting. I remember Isaac Stroud was a major part of our defense that night. He blocked a field goal attempt, and he also blocked a pass. You know, JM relied on Jerry Seiler a whole lot, and we had contained him pretty much that night. So they're
Right.
towards the end of the game, they were trying to pass and get back and win the game, and they didn't pass very much that year. So anyway, Isaac Stroud deflected a pass near the end of the game, and that helped preserve the win. So it was just an exciting game. The fans really helped us out a lot that night.
Leon, do you remember all the cars parked all the way up to the courthouse that night?
Yeah, that was one of my memories. I'm like, y'all, I remember the road handling game, shaking the bus and riding back with our uniforms on. I remember that.
Yeah.
Of course, the JM game. And of course, when, you know, your players, you don't realize how many people's there. But after, you know, we were talking about after the game we found out how many people from the community came to the game. Like you talking
Yeah.
about the cars, they say were parked all the way down 64 east and
Yeah.
west. And
Yeah.
just, you know, what the team did for the community to bring, I think they said it's the biggest crowd that's ever been to a high school game
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
date, I think. So, that's the two games I remember. I remember the shaking bus and of course the JM game, but that really stuck in my mind how many people came to the game.
Yeah. That night was so energetic, and I know we were winning, and that made it even better. But I just remember I was 12 years old, and it was great. It was just great. And after the game, our house was full. I mean, full of fans and players, and it was just wonderful.
Remember
And,
Coach Shane? Yeah, I remember Coach Shaner. I think JM had this, I can't remember his name, this big defensive end. He said, I want you to hit him every play. Hit him every play. You
I
know,
bet he
whatever
put
play.
some colorful words in that too, didn't he?
Well, yeah, I wasn't gonna say that, but
Yeah. Yeah. Johnny, describe the feeling in the gym afterwards.
It was jubilation. It was really special.
Yeah.
And one reason, because I took a whole lot of flack over the summer from the guys from JM because the previous year we went up there and we got embarrassed. And over the
Yeah.
summer, they gave me a hard time. And so once that game was over and the celebration, it was payback time because
Mhm.
I got to see it, after that game, and it was sweet.
Yeah, it was great. Robert, do you remember being in the gym?
I remember more outside the gym than I do inside the gym.
Yeah, yeah,
And just as Leon was talking about, it was absolutely amazement to me the number of people that were at that game.
yeah.
You
It was
queued up
crazy.
and it was completely surrounded. The field was completely surrounded. I mean,
Yeah.
you couldn't see the primary building for the number of people that was there. And
Even in the street, they were in the street
Yeah.
over the primary building, and
yeah,
they had a y'all ran through the crowd. The crowd split behind the bleachers, even out there in the little street. I remember that, and the noise. It was just
the noise was absolutely amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, that was our energy for us. I mean,
Yeah.
that's as Rouse was saying. Hey, that energized us, and that gave us that adrenaline and that desire to get out there and win. And as
Yeah.
Jack was saying, we've been seeing the guys from South City. We run into them, all throughout the year, and every time you see one of them somewhere, they talking junk. They talking about what they did to us before and this, that, and the other. But they started to get a little bit afraid near the end. And that's why
Yeah.
they're trying to figure out how to sabotage us. But I do remember that night because we were trying to find when the game was over and it was time to go home. I had to walk a long way to get to the car. I said, "You
Mhm.
walk way over there at the courthouse?"
Yeah.
And they said that's the closest we could get. And
Yeah.
I just remember all the cars, and even after the game, people didn't leave. They were still
No.
there. They were still there. So it was if there ever was a Super Bowl for
Right.
Chatham County, I think that was it.
I remember
And
I
that
saw
atmosphere.
that movie. Remember the Titans? They had nothing on this team as far as camaraderie and friendship and the bonds that were made. It was my dad's finest hour. Honest to God, it was.
I think
Mary,
we were ours fine as ours. We all,
yeah, yeah,
I think we left everything we had there on the field. We
yeah,
did. I know I did.
yeah,
And at the end of that game, it was just you were exhausted, but you were exhilarated. At least
yes,
I was.
yeah, yeah. I call those the golden years. Those football years. They were the real football. And I go out in Northwood every now and then and see that big trophy. And Mary was saying the other day, the kids out there don't know about that team because it was before the new school opened that team did so well. So I don't know. It's just a part of history. It's a good part of history.
Yeah. Leon,
Mary?
you guys got come on,
just
jump
wanna-
in.
Johnny or
And
Leon?
I'm keeping time, so you still have a few more minutes. You all have, the questions that Shelley and I have is like you all are putting it all together. So you have about 10 minutes at the most to just keep talking about the games, the different games.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that you had there, Rouse, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that certainly the games were special, and the JM game was, for me, it was my personal highlight of my life. And when it comes to sports, I mean, it was just pretty special. But I remember the practices that we had oftentimes were a lot of fun. I mean, the coaches worked us hard, but I mean, for example, I remember we had a 2-man blocking sled.
Yeah.
And Mr. Clark used to ride that sled. And, everybody wanted to be the ones that part of the pair that hit that sled at the same time and gave Mr. Dark a good jolt because he would make some funny comments about, getting knocked off the sled and that sort of thing. But yeah, there were some good comedians on our team that made it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that was one of the things. See how far you could ride to get him a ride on that sled. See who could push him the furthest before you had to drop him. Knocking him off, we never ever achieved that, but we sure gave him a ride.
Yeah.
But and Leon, what about you, man? What's some of your thoughts and memories in that area?
Well, what comes to my mind, like I would see Coach at Verley's eating, or I'd see Rouse at his dentist's office. And whenever you would see somebody that used to be a teammate, it always, triggered in your mind that night. I mean, it doesn't matter if it was yesterday. If I see Rouse somewhere now, or I see Johnny on the street, riding by, blowing at me, it always triggers your mind of that night. It's just that memory sticks in your mind that something you'll never forget. So,
Mhm.
I used to see Archie Cross at the post office all the time, and of course I see a lot of the other guys, around sometimes. So it just always triggers in your mind that night.
Yeah. It was a good night.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I think that was a crowning jewel to all the things that we tried to do that year. It was a long road to get there. And I can remember some of the other games, and the one you probably saw the picture of, I think it was with Union Pines in the rain.
Yeah.
And, you couldn't tell who anybody was that night. I mean, both teams were just so muddy, and you couldn't even tell what color uniform each one had on. You just had to hopefully see the helmet to see it was your guy. Because
Right.
I remember hitting one guy out there that night, and I think he slid like 20 yards in the mud. He just kept going. Is he ever going to stop? But, those games, and then, like the Northmore game, I remember that one very well because I was trying to do something I should have been doing and end up paying for it myself. But we won't go into that. But yeah, I have memories of those games and the things, and each time it was like another notch in your belt. It gave us a little bit more confidence to face that final game with JM.
Right.
I'd like to thank, before the time runs out, Mary or whoever put this together. I just wanted to thank whoever, put this deal together. It sure is, it's been nice to go back in, the memory lane here. So I just want to thank everyone who put it together.
Mary.
That would be Mary.
Well, that would be the Community Remembers Coalition Chatham.
Okay.
We worked on this together, all of us.
I know you worked hard
But
on it.
you all still have about 5 minutes to just reminisce.
You
Go
know what?
back
Well,
51 years.
the thing that one thing that really defined that team, although we came up a little short, was the first round of the state playoffs at Fuquay. We were down 22-0. We were down 22-0.
Yeah.
It took us a while to regroup because Wallace, he got hurt. But once we gathered ourselves, we came back and we ended up losing the game by 2 points. And I think that was remarkable for us to compose ourselves and show just how tough we were and how resilient we were as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we kind of got ourselves back together at halftime in the locker room and got refocused. And, we actually came out that second half and played real football. I think we got past the shock and the awe. A couple things, one, being in that championship game, and two, seeing your teammate go down like Wallace did, it kind of shook us a bit. And it took us through that half or through that to get that encouragement, and I guess the chewing out or whatever we got in the locker room. It got us refocused, and you're right. We did come out and play a heck of a second half. We just came up just a little bit short.
Well, I give Coach Shaner a lot of credit for that turnaround because I remember him having choice words.
Yeah.
And some of the other
You don't
things to
say.
about the quality of our play and how we weren't playing the way we've been playing the whole season. And And there were some words I'm not going to repeat now, but so I think it got our attention. But one thing I remember, Fuquay they were doing plays that we weren't prepared for too. We were expecting just straight ahead running, but they were doing inside reverses and off opposite side reverses, and we weren't ready for that. And so we talked about that at halftime, and they had us prepared for the second half, both tactically and emotionally.
I remember after the game, I was crying, carrying on, and Daddy said, "Suck it up. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose." They played a heck of a game, and we went to the hospital, because Hawk had been hurt. And I just wanted to say I was tongue tied at the beginning, but when Daddy got to the new school, his heart was back with y'all. It wasn't ever really the same for him out there. He even coached my brother, but those days with this team were his glory days. And I just want all of y'all to know how much it meant to him. He was so proud of you, and he called you his boys.
Yeah, and he was a great coach, and I can remember going over to his house. Didn't get there as much as Johnny did, but I remember going over there and I gave him one entertaining ride home one evening after practice, and I don't think he wanted to ride with me anymore after that one. So, but he and Coach Dark and Coach Campbell, they worked their behinds off to get us there.
Yeah.
They didn't. I just say they didn't pull punches.
No, they were a unit.
Yeah,
They
didn't pull punches, and if you messed up, you heard about it right away. You didn't have to wonder if you messed up; they let you know.
Yeah,
And now we can appreciate that a little bit more than we did then. We didn't think it was very nice some of the ways that they were reminding us of this back then, but now you can look on it and see that they were trying to achieve the same thing that we were hoping to have, and that was the championship. And being able to keep us all focused. And, we all kind of go off on different bunny trails. Different things pop up. Yeah, this come up, that come up. But they always somehow managed to get us refocused and get our attention back on to what we were there to do.
right.
And I think as coaches, I think they treated us equally. I mean, they didn't see the color of our skin. They saw football players, and they treated us like football players, and they demanded things of us based on what we were able to provide, and I think that they just set the example for the rest of us, that we're all in the same boat. We're working towards the same goal,
Right.
And they expected everybody to do their best, and they tended to get it when they coach like that. So,
yeah, and I can remember one remark.
You had to be competitive.
Yep, and I can remember very well, and it came from all three coaches. It said either put out or get out.
Lord, yeah.
If you're not going to put out, get out of the way and let somebody else come in, because we don't have time for half step in here. So if you're going to play, get out there and play.
yeah.
Yep. Any closing words, Johnny?
I just want to thank the people who were responsible for this, because back it was a new situation for everyone. And I think the people in the community, the coaches, and everybody wanted the merger of the two schools to be a smooth transition. And I would have to say that the work that Coach Shana, Coach Campbell, and Coach Dog did with us, young men, bringing us together, it really helped that transition be a smooth transition. I really believe that. And the bond that we had back then, and like Leon saying, I see Leon walking his dogs all the time, and I be blowing at him, and I see Rouse, and and it brings back good memories. It really does.
Yep. Anybody else?
Well, yeah, and then just kind of to cap it all off, and I think we have kind of expressed how what this team and coming together did for us as a team, but it also did great wonders for the community. And I think the JM game was the best example of that. With that many people there, that many people focused on one thing, and that's cheering for their team. All other concerns went by the way. There was no misunderstandings, no arguments, no anything. It was just straight, hey, we want to win. And everybody was there to see that team win, and they supported that team. And just you see the whole community come in together, and that many people in that spot without any disturbances is just usually not something you'd see.
Right.
I agree. I think our time is up on this, and I have closing remarks as thank you all again for joining us. Let me make sure. Okay. We hope you have enjoyed the memories and have been inspired by the conversations and learned a great deal of Chatham County history. We invite you to become a member of the CRC-C by going to our website, CRC-C, and stroll down to the homepage to join us section. We are looking forward to welcoming you to our group. Please join us for a film on Rosenwald Schools Saturday, November the 18th at 2 p.m. at George Moses Horton Middle School, multipurpose room. There were 10 Rosenwald schools in Chatham County. George Moses Horton School began as a Rosenwald school. Filmmaker Tom Lassiter will present the film. Discussion leaders will be Dr. Charles Johnson Jr., Director of the Public History Program at North Carolina Central University in Durham, and Mr. Gene Brooks, Chatham historian and retired Northwood High School assistant principal. Before closing, I would like to give special thanks to our guests, Robert Austin, Johnny Richardson, Leon Williams, and Ross Wilson. And special thanks to our host and IT support, Ms. Rita Vandani, branch director of the Chatham Community Library. Also, special thanks to our co-host, Ms. Shelley Shana Joyce. Finally, thanks again to each one of you for being here this evening. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Mary, for doing this.
Thank you,
Good
Mary.
night. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hey. Gunner, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy got inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2023. This team meant the world to him, and I'm sure was his favorite memory as coach of any sport he coached. He passed away in 2010, but his memory still remains, and all his players meant the world to him. And I'm getting tongue tied here, y'all. A little nervous.
Okay.
I thought
All
this at
right.
the very end.
Heather, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy got inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2023. This team meant the world to him, and I'm sure was his favorite memory as coach of any sport he coached. He passed away in 2010, but his memory still remains, and all his players meant the world to him. And I'm getting tongue tied here, y'all. A little nervous.
Okay.
I thought
All
this at
right.
the very end.